Oh, now he hits live while he's still eating. Last time it was me. You're making fun of me for being fat. Now it's you. Just want to point that out. The skinny guy's the one eating still.
But I don't get fat, so.
Fat at heart.
Shit's fucking good.
Do like that
intro?
right there. Perfect. I don't have my light because it did not charge in time. So, oh well there. Oh, there you go with your fan again.
It's all you, man.
God bless America, and gentlemen, start your engine!
Still down there. Still down there.
Still outside corner, you're number one.
Was out. Hell was out. That's just about outricked him. And then she busted her ass.
Oh, wow, he's done.
I'm done.
About time. Let's see if I can't get this light in better position to.
Oh my God.
Boom. Bright. Shining bright like a diamond now.
Howdy, everybody.
Howdy. How y'all doing today? This beautiful Monday. We're still going to have some lagging issues because, again, there's a fan on. You know, it's slowing down. It's getting better as we speak. But we got to make up for last weekend. We were a little under the weather last weekend, so we did not do a podcast last week. So we are going to make up for it today, cover both races. Hard to remember a little bit, but we'll get it going. We'll figure it out.
I remember quite a bit.
I don't remember most of that race last week, unfortunately. But I don't know. You could have gone to that race. We had a good group of friends that actually went to the race. You could have actually been there, but yet your streak of Kyle Larson not winning when you go to Cup races has continued, and he always wins when you don't go.
I didn't go for that reason. Had I gone, that Larson wouldn't have won.
He still would have won. He would got that dub.
No, had I gone, he wouldn't have won. Something freaky would have happened.
I mean, something's freaky happening for Martin Truex right now, so I don't know what that's about.
Yeah, Martin is not looking good.
Not at all.
Martin finished like 18th, I think it was, at Darlington.
Yep.
Had a terrible race. I listened to the teardown earlier today, and they were talking about how Martin said that in practice for Darlington, he had hit the wall or brushed the wall, and he thinks he might have bent something, but he didn't tell the team, which is a little weird. Like, why wouldn't he tell the team? But they said that he was afraid of like losing his starting position and starting in the back. But come on, that's a 500-mile race. Like you've got time.
Yeah.
Like, would you rather risk it or start in the back and have a good car?
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense because I know what you're talking about. He talked about it there, and they posted it all over Instagram and everything too, from when he had his press conference. But we saw obviously that he hit the wall, so we all knew that happened during practice or qualifying, whatever it was. But to not report it in that long of a race, I feel like you could have made it up through pit strategy or many other different things. But instead, you just hurt yourself for that race, and you're like, okay, Kansas is coming up. I'm gonna have a good Kansas. And then all of a sudden, obviously, we saw what happened with Kansas as well. But my question is kind of, does nobody go through the car again? I mean, I get they can't work on it, obviously, but it seemed like coming off the trailer, Kansas was damaged. And then he's talking about how he possibly bent something before. Like, there's no one that's going to go through any of the cars before they go back out. That's not working on it, but looking at it.
Yeah, that's what I'm confused about is like, had Martin – I don't even think Martin said anything is what it was. It's like he felt the car was weird, but he never said anything after practice, which, I mean, even if he would have said something like, hey, guys, I brushed the wall. What do you think, what do you think of the car? They could have at least checked the toe or something on it to make sure it was good before going out there for the race. But, hey, regular season champion may not advance because we went to Kansas and 3 laps in, he was in the wall and done.
Yeah, that one is the one that confuses the hell out of me the most because something had to have been wrong, broken, loose, something off the trailer. There is no way that car, there was nothing wrong with it and there was something wrong with it. Now, obviously, they said that right rear had a pinhole leak in it, but I don't.
Did you not listen to Actions Detrimental yet then?
I have not.
Okay, Denny explained what happened, so I will leave that up to you.
Gotcha. So does it sound like it's the pinhole leak, though?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. It just doesn't make sense to me because they talk about how they used to put pinhole leaks in the sidewalls.
So what Denny said is it goes back to even what happened to Ty Majeski at the penalty for the valve stems, the leaking valve stems.
Mhm.
So Denny said that he probably ran over something under pit road, like when they're checking pit road speed before they went to green. That's when the tire got punctured. And so it leaked enough air out to where it was low enough to cause a tight condition, which we saw Martin struggle right from the start. He said the car was tight and was plowing. 3 laps later, went into turn 3. It had leaked enough air out to where it actually damaged the tire itself, and that's when it exploded and he had the issue. So, I mean, I'm going to take Denny's word. He knows more about it. You know, he drives cars. I don't. So, I mean, it makes sense if, you know.
He also said he didn't hit Larson a few weeks back, so I don't know how good
Denny's always right.
Opinions are.
Denny's always right.
Always right. Always right. I mean, he kind of got some just desserts in for this week because his own team that he owns beat him, and he was. I know he talked because I listened to the front part of Actions Detrimental. I haven't finished it yet, but he talked about how this one actually burned a little bit because before he wasn't in contention to win, but this one was actually in contention to win, and Tyler Reddick beats him.
Good. That's what he gets.
Yeah. So, I mean, no love lost, obviously. So let's talk about Darlington a little bit more. Obviously, Darlington does not disappoint typically whenever we have races there. Really good racing at that track, the way that it has worn in over these couple of years. I mean, I remember a little bit of it, and it was a darn good race.
Yeah, I enjoyed Darlington. I thought it was a fantastic race on TV. Wish it could have gone. Obviously, I wasn't feeling too well. We've both been fighting some issues here recently.
Yeah.
But so Denny seemed like he was the guy to beat, ended up dominating first 2 stages. And then he had a loose wheel and lost all the track position. I think he went 2 laps down, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, originally, he went 2 laps down, yeah, which he got waved around eventually. But, yeah, he went 2 laps down.
Yeah, well, believe it or not, even Denny said on the podcast that Martin was the best finishing Gibbs car. So
yeah,
a lot of the Gibbs cars had issues that race, especially Christopher Bell. He nailed the wall coming off of turn 2, knocked the toe out. They spent the entire race trying to get this alignment back right on that car.
Yeah.
He never came back and was a threat. The 2 cars that were a threat there at the end, obviously, was Kyle Larson and Tyler Reddick, and it carried over to this week too.
I mean, and obviously they got to be happy with that because Tyler Reddick for 2 straight weeks has shown really good speed. The car is running like a top. I mean, obviously
they haven't stepped on their own tail.
Yeah, they've done. What up, Dakota? But he's been able to do some great things with that 2311 car. While Joe Gibbs Racing, obviously they're kind of the same, has not had the success that they're used to. I mean, Bell did good at Kansas, but he obviously hit the wall real hard at Darlington. Denny, I mean, I thought his playoff chances were going to be putting him below the cut line after last week, but luckily he was able to kind of gather it back by the end of the race. But Martin, like 2 races back to back, being this bad, that's not good.
Yeah. David asked, glad to see Kyle win Darlington. Yeah, I definitely was. Nice to see Kyle finally get that Southern 500 because he's been in contention to win that race multiple times throughout his career. So finally got it done. Didn't Denny's crew say they couldn't find anything wrong with the wheel or the wheel was loose? The theory that they believe is when they tightened the wheel up, the lug nut itself didn't lock all the way in, and that's what the problem was. But they look back. I think they look back at the cameras, the helmet cameras.
And even Denny in his podcast says that wheel was tight. Something's wrong. Something was wrong. It was a wonky tire probably because he talks about they have had wonky tires. But he states they reviewed the high-res film And when he's talking about it, he glances really quick at talking about it. He said, "Yeah, when watching the film, it could have been possibly moving just a little bit right there at the end before they dropped it." That was his exact, and he just went and then moved past it. They found no rounding of those, basically the locating holes. That way it stays in, because they say when it's a loose wheel, those will start to oval or they'll literally start like breaking. So you would be able to see that. They found none of that on this wheel. We let the dogs out. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, let me fix that real quick.
So I don't think it was a loose wheel. I think it was probably a wonky tire, some tire made incorrectly. I mean, something went on there, but I don't think it is what Denny said, because he literally let that go so quick and they moved on to the next subject.
Yeah, there's something more going on there, but hey, Denny didn't win, so I'm happy with that.
And the fact that he wasn't super mad at his pit crew. He's been mad at his pit crew for every other mistake they've made. There's just too much that no, that was either Denny or the tire.
What is your take on that? God damn it, Nova! That Suarez Bowman incident there towards the end.
So the block down, I agree with. So going all the way down to block him, he tried to do the same thing to Ross a little bit earlier, and it did not work because Ross went even farther down and went around him. Ross also was carrying a lot more speed. But when he tried to block him again coming back up, which that could be considered a racing maneuver, I get it. But I don't think that's warranted at that point, not that point in the race. I think they could have both be at fault here. Suarez should have let up. I mean, as soon as he saw he was getting blocked all the way down, he could have let off and backed up a little bit and tried to get another run going. Instead, he decided to basically hug bumpers both ways. And so they both took each other out, being idiots.
Yeah, I think Dale Jr. actually said it the best. They're both at fault. Bowman was more at fault than Suarez. But you got to think that Darlington's a very narrow track, and of course you have to have your entry going into turn one and get that arc. You know, you can't really enter in there going too wide. I mean, you can, but it doesn't really work. So obviously Suarez could have lifted just a little bit, let Bowman back in, and made another run at him, like you're saying. But that's not what happened, and unfortunately Suarez wrecked himself. That's the way I look at it. They both wrecked themselves.
Yeah, I mean, this was completely something that could have completely been avoided, but they decided to FAFO it out, and that ended up with both of them ending their days.
Yeah, just another mid-season for Alex Bowman. Typical, like I don't see him winning a race this year. The speed hasn't been there for the last half of the season. A lot of the luck hasn't been there either. But look, I think Bowman's obviously odd man out right now at Hendrick. I know he's signed a contract and everything, but he's definitely number 4.
Yeah, I mean, he was leading the points when he went out for his injury.
Yeah.
And now, obviously, he didn't make it into the playoffs. If I'm him, I'm pissed. Like, I mean, there's no way around that. Like, if I'm him, I'm being pissed off.
I mean, he's had some bad luck. I think back to the Chicago street race. Obviously, Denny kind of screwed him over there. Pocono, same thing. Denny got him arrow loose and, of course, caused him to wreck everything. So Bowman's had some bad luck, but even when he hasn't had bad luck, those last second half of the season, he just hasn't shown speed. So
yeah, he's been
even had he had not missed a couple races due to injury and not been penalized the points for the second fine that Hendrick got, I don't think Bowman would have been a competitive car in the championship.
I agree with you. I mean, it's just, and I don't know if it's just this year. I mean, other than Larson, Hendrick has not been good this year. Like, it's been.
Well, 5 and 24 have been showing,
Byron, sorry, yes, about 5 and 24. So Byron had done really well. He kind of laid off right here at the last couple weeks, but he's starting to get that back. I mean, obviously not a really great finish at Kansas because of a spin, which I don't understand. We'll talk about that a little bit later too. But Larson and him, cream of the crop. Chase has struggled since all his stuff happened. And then you got Bowman who struggled. But Chevy teams in general have not really been, other than RCR here and there, they haven't really been that loud this year. It looks like this year has been more of a Toyota Ford year. If you put everything.
I mean, yes, Ford has won their share of races, especially Buescher, RFK. But I mean, I would say that the manufacturer that's showing up to win week in and week out is obviously Toyota. Chevy's behind a little bit, but I will say, now that we're in the playoffs, I think you're going to see. We've already seen it with the 5. I wouldn't be surprised to see the 24 start showing some speed here too. They obviously probably played it a little bit safe, knowing that they were locked in the playoffs. Maybe working on some stuff. 5 was fast both last two weeks.
Very fast.
So
very, very fast.
I'm not writing. I mean, I got Kyle on my championship 4 at this point. But as long as they can, execute races and keep it going, I don't see any way that Kyle can't not make the championship 4. And I think Byron still has a legit shot with all the points he's racked up. And Byron
has banked a ton of points. So honestly, Byron is hoping that Martin doesn't make it, and gets cut out of this round. Because if he doesn't, Byron's kind of up there with all those bonus points. Him and Martin were tied. And so now if they lose Martin, it's not going to matter to him for that tie. So he kind of has a tiebreaker there. Now, obviously, he's going to have Denny to contend with, because Denny, after Darlington, not that great, but obviously finished second here at Kansas. And there's still a lot of Toyota tracks coming up. So, I mean, there's going to be some interesting things out there.
Yeah, playoffs it's this weekend's going to be great with Bristol. I don't even know what to expect with Bristol. I can't even tell you who's going to be the favorite to win that race. But obviously Kyle won Southern 500, got that win. We go on to Kansas this weekend. We just got out of there. Tyler Reddick is our winner, so backs up a second place finish at the Southern 500 and gets the win in non-dominating fashion, thanks to a very late caution and green-white checkered. Reddick, he's putting it together. He's getting some races under his belt to where they're finishing, getting results, executing. I think, if he keeps this up, he can be a legit, contender for the championship 4.
He's hot at the right time. That's what it's always mattered. Who gets hot at the right time? Joey Logano usually is one of the ones that gets hot at the right time. And we're about to go to a couple tracks where Joey's been good before. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see if he starts getting that ignition on him. But Larson, Byron, Harvick, and Busch. See, I think you have to have Buescher there. I like Larson, I understand. Byron,
you said Buescher?
So
you said Buescher or Busch?
Buescher, I don't think Kyle Busch makes it in. I think Buescher makes it in.
No, I don't know.
Harvick there either.
Buescher's I think he's 13 points from the cut right now because he had that flat he was the reason for that green-white checkered. So he lost a lot of that point cushion.
But I think he's going to be able to make it back up, because that car, you always remember, that car and Brad's car always run together when they're on the track and there's no issues. Brad's car is still carrying a ton of speed. I mean, he still finished in the top 10. I don't remember exactly what his finish position was, but he was still in the top 10 this week. So that means that there was that possibility that Buescher would have also been in the top 10 if he didn't have the obviously issues.
I think Buescher can make it to the next round. I mean, obviously he won Bristol this race last year, and he was a non-playoff driver. So look, Buescher's he's gonna show up, but I don't know if he can make it to the championship 4. He can make it to the round of 8 if he transfers through. And he's going to, when we go to the round of 12, points reset. So same thing with Martin. If Martin transfers through, finishes top 10, other guys have some bad luck. Logano, Harvick, whoever it is, has some bad luck, and Martin transfers through, resets. He's back to leading the points going into the round of 12. So
I still have it picked that Ross is going to end up finding his way on the outside. I don't know. Obviously,
it's so weird.
Silently.
It's so weird because Ross was not in contention at all at Darlington. He went a lap down at some point in the beginning of the race. Mm-hmm. No stage points at all. And comes back and finishes top 5.
Yeah.
But then we go to Kansas this week, qualifies in top 5. Mm-hmm. Looks like he's got speed. He's in contention the first stage. And then on that bad pit call that Larson and Ross ended up on, Ross dropped like a brick and he never made it back up.
Nope. It was just like they put out the anchor and he was gone. And, obviously Ross last year was riding high into the playoffs. This year, he doesn't even have that. So he's either got to catch on fire real quick, or I don't think he's going to make it. So I don't have him in the 4 this year. But
I
going
don't have
back
him
to
for either.
Larson, Byron, Harvick, Busch, I got it being Byron, Hamlin, Busher, and then I could see Larson making it.
Yeah, I have Larson, Byron, Hamlin, and the 4th. It's all dependent on Truex. If Truex can make it
I thought
through,
it was going to be Truex originally.
I got Truex in the championship 4th.
I did. He's still in my championship 4 right now. Obviously, I've already submitted that bracket, as they call it. But if he doesn't make it in, Denny's going to be happy that he doesn't make it in, and Byron's going to be happy he doesn't make it in if he can't pull it together. And Bristol's not one of his known 4 tracks, so we'll see what comes.
No, Martin does not perform very well at Bristol. He's had some bad luck, but I mean, 4 or 5 top 10s in his entire career at Bristol. That's terrible.
Yeah, he's got a long career. If it was a short career, maybe that'd be okay. But he's had a long career.
Well, so Kansas race was entertaining. I enjoyed it. The track has really become one of my favorite intermediate tracks on the circuit. If only, and I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I think Denny alluded to it quite a bit in his podcast today. He said something along the lines of, Ben Kennedy, please add some more intermediate tracks to the schedule next year. And kind of hinted at Chicagoland.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice if Chicagoland come back. I think it'd be great.
I agree. I mean, they talked about we should see a schedule release in the next 12 days. Hurry the fuck up. Like, why are we waiting? I hate how it's always a hurry up and wait, and they finally announce. We already know that Indy road course is dead.
It seems like every year the schedule is released sometime in August. Here we are into September, and it's going to be the middle of September. So it makes me think that there may be something big on the schedule next year that they're still working on and haven't got all the details ironed out, and that's why it's not been released. I don't know what that is. Does that mean loses the date in the spring for something else? I know you talk about fairgrounds. Telling you the fairgrounds is not coming to the schedule next year. It's not going to happen.
It'd still be too soon. I mean, they were supposed to be farther along than they are right now.
That's not happening.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think Nashville Super Speedway is a good track. I don't think there's any reason to have 2 races in Nashville, fairgrounds and the Super Speedway, even though it's not really Super Speedway. But what does that mean? Does North Wilkesboro get a date?
Unfortunately, I think so. I don't think they should put dates like North Wilkesboro needs to be one of those like switch in and out to where it doesn't lose its luster. And I think they're going to run it too many times so fast back to back to back, and it's just going to lose it.
I would like to see it stay as a all-star race. Honestly,
agreed.
Yeah, I think they're going to repave it. They're going to have to. There's no way that they're going to be able to run that old surface, continue to run that old surface. I mean, I'm wearing the Kyle Larson old school ass whipping shirt, so you're going to have one guy maybe go back to Wilkesboro and have it figured out again.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what we're going to see as far as the schedule goes. I mean, Bristol Dirt probably ain't coming back. I mean, we're 99% sure. They actually cleaned the freaking concrete up this time. Yeah. So that kind of gives away that, hey, we're moving past this. We're getting away from it. The Indy road course, gone. They already tested on the oval. So, I mean, we know what's going on there. Yeah. As far as the other ones go, I could see Nashville having 2, but one being at Super Speedway, the other being at the fairgrounds. Bristol, I hope, doesn't lose the second race, but I could see them losing that first race just altogether.
I mean, the question I have is the West Coast swing, because we know we lost Auto Club this year. So I think they're going to want to try to, keep it to 3 weeks out west again. So I talked about it. I think it'd be amazing if, Sonoma was the second race of the schedule. You go from Daytona to Sonoma instead of seeing the old dead ass, grass and everything. Let's go out there when it's, vegetative. You see green grass and all that stuff. That would be an amazing sight to go out there seeing it then instead of, in the middle of summer.
That's when they're still growing their cush, so they can't do it then.
Yeah.
That's been the issue. No, I agree with you 100%. And plus, we don't need road courses back to back. Road courses do need to be spread out. That was a fail this year.
That was a rough patch. I mean, the Indy Road course, it was an okay race. We talked about it. Watkins Glen was a better race, but having them stacked back to back like that, I mean, if we kept the schedule kind of like it is now, you got Daytona, then out to Sonoma, Las Vegas, Phoenix, and then you come back to Atlanta, and then COTA, because they want to keep that, sometime in March and April before the rains hit, like it did the first inaugural race there. Because I guarantee we'll be back at COTA.
Oh, for sure. COTA's coming back, and I like COTA. I'm one of the, I guess, few that really like COTA. But apparently, there's been those rumors of us moving up to Canada, eh?
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to get that done this year or not. But that could be one of the reasons why it's taken so long to get the schedule out.
Something's holding it up.
Yeah.
It might even deal with
that's my gut feeling. That's my gut feeling is something's holding it up. They're waiting on the last details to, it's something big, something new that's going to be coming to the schedule.
Well, unfortunately, Chicago Road Course kind of already got its re-announcement, so that sucks. But we'll take it as it goes.
I mean, I'm okay with the street race. I've said it before. I just hate it's in Chicago.
I'm okay with street race. Hate it in Chicago. Agree with you there. If we're racing in Chicago, Chicagoland needs to be there. That's just what it is.
That's the way I see it. I think Chicagoland, with the way these next-gen cars race on intermediates,
it'd be perfect.
Exactly.
It would be what we need. And I'm willing to bet Jimmy would probably race that one again because Jimmy likes it. So.
Hey, did you see that I was reading an article, I don't know, it was like 3 or 4 days ago. And it was, in the middle of this John Hunter Nemechek news going to the 42 next year.
Yeah.
And they were talking about how Jimmy's going to be racing a couple races next year. He's already said that he will, which is going to be odd seeing Jimmy race a Toyota. But he said that he's living like full time in the UK.
He moved. I posted it in the group chat. He moved to the UK. The dude is so un-American already. He decided to give up Chevy. Then he decided to join Toyota. Then he decided to move to United Kingdom, where he's got friends and everything already over there. I'm like, this dude just went from being as American as you could be to F you America, I'm out. Let me go sip some tea.
David, the only problem I have with that comment you got there is like F1. I don't think we should be doing anything to appease F1.
F1 and our racer so F1 and our demographics are too far different. Yeah. NASCAR is trying to make them too much the same. They did the Chicago Road Course. They did the $13,000 experience and everything they had. And obviously it turned into a swamp. So I feel sorry for anyone that paid that money. But we just don't need to do that. We don't need to be F1. We don't need to be Indy. We need to just be NASCAR. I'd love to see Nashville. I would like to see, some. I would even love to see something maybe down in Miami or Daytona, something of the original.
So here's my idea on a street race. Since we lost Auto Club and that's the LA market, get rid of the fucking Coliseum. Let's go back to Daytona Speed Weeks, full week there. But if we're going to do a street race, do it in LA.
I'd be fine with that. I mean, that keeps it something over there, and it's still an exhibition race at that point. Because any street race needs to be an exhibition race until we get.
Well, I don't mean like as an exhibition race. I mean, if the Chicago street race was a points race, so if they're going to keep it a points race, still do it in LA.
I don't think it should have been a points race. I would have gone that with being an exhibition race. But who knows? I mean, we'll see. I think the road courses need to.
Yeah, roads
for at least 3 to 5 years.
I agree with the real road courses. I think 4 tops.
Yeah, and space them out. One needs to be in the playoffs. Always have one in the playoffs. And then, if anything, the Roval should not be a playoff race. I would rather see, which it makes it tough because of the timing, so they'd have to switch some stuff. I would rather see COTA or Watkins Glen be in the playoffs and the Roval be somewhere else. Now, obviously, I don't want it to be the first race and then, maybe the Oval becomes the playoff race for Charlotte because we know it's going to be better racing than the Roval. But I don't know. I don't know
because the Coke 600 is not going anywhere. They're not going to remove that from Memorial Day weekend. Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, the only way you're going to get rid of the Roval is you're not going to get rid of the Roval. The people I've already talked to, they've invested too much. They're not gonna get rid of it. Not for a long time.
Yeah, we talked with some people there while we were there, some behind the scenes people, and it's 3 to 5 years minimum before you could look at that not being there anymore.
Yeah, and it's not that I don't mind it being in the playoffs. I think a road course does belong in the playoffs because I think the playoffs should be well-rounded with every discipline possible. It's just that we were there last year. The race was terrible, and that's because of the car. It's not the track. The years we went and passed with the Gen 6 car, it was a good race. Yeah. It's just that this new car, it's not a road course racing, especially at the Roval. We've seen some decent road courses, but look, this car right now is an intermediate track car. So that's what we need.
They need to figure out the tire, and they need to add more power. I'm going to say it every single episode until they fix it. I'm going to say it every episode. Every single one.
Beating a dead horse.
Beaten, extremely dead. Yes.
Yeah.
It's not the only thing to beat. So it's let's move into what we can look forward to for the rest of the season. Obviously, playoffs. We got round of 12. Who do you have dropping out, not making it to the next round?
My easy picks is McDowell and Stenthouse.
Yep.
McDowell has to win, and I don't see him winning Bristol. He may have a good top 10 run. He could surprise people, but he's not winning it. Stenthouse, he's too far back. I think he could point his way in, but I don't think he's going to have that much luck. Bubba, I don't see Bubba making it either. He had that bad race yesterday at Kansas. None of his doing.
No.
Just a tire going. That's unfortunate for him because he was there. He was definitely contending. Had he not had that issue, I think there could have been a 23-11 1-2 finish.
Oh, for sure. He was rolling. At the very beginning, he was going. Obviously, I think he got up. He qualified not great, but he made it up.
He qualified. He qualified 9th or 10th. He made the final round.
But he ended up going over, and he was in the top 5 within, I don't know.
He was in second. He was in second by the first pit sequence.
Yeah. He did really good getting up to the front. He could have. Yeah, I agree with you. 23-11 could have had something going there with a 1-2 finish.
So I got Bubba out, so I got 3 right there. The last one, I don't even know where to go with this because it could be Truex. There's so many guys that are stacked right now. You got Truex that's out, but then you have Harvick that's 7 points, I believe, to the good.
Yep.
And then you've got multiple guys. Let's see. You got multiple guys. Logano, Bell, and Buescher. They're plus 13 and plus 12. And then Chastain is plus 18. So there's 4 guys here. There's 4 guys here, potentially 5 that could, flip-flop and be out of it.
Yeah, I agree with Michael. I agree with Ricky, and I agree with Bubba. But I'm going to shake it up a little bit, and I'm going to say Ross might not make it through here. I could see Ross having a bad Bristol and get wrecked. Not early, but just not having a great weekend all around. And he's right now he's in 8th. He's plus 18 to the good. The problem is Joey Logano has won at Bristol before. He knows how to race this track. Buescher has not, but I still think he's going to do well.
Buescher won last year.
Yes, you're right. You got Bell, and then you got Harvick. I think Harvick's going to do well at Bristol. I really think Bell's going to do well at Bristol. So the very first person that I have in that lineup that would be bad at Bristol is going to be Ross, in my opinion.
It's going to be tight. I don't know how to handicap this because the Fords, while they've not shown speed every week, the Fords are typically good at the short tracks.
Mm-hmm.
But look, there is from Keselowski down. You have a bad race. You wreck out early, you're done.
Yeah.
You could go as far as Byron. If Byron wrecks out early and somebody capitalizes and gets stage points, I think Byron's pretty safe. But from Keselowski down, anything could happen.
Yeah.
But that leads us into the round of 12, which I don't know how I missed this because I believe Texas used to be in the round of 8. But it looks like Texas is going to be our opening race for the round of 12.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I hate Texas.
I do too, but I'm glad it's in the round. I think it was in the round of 12 last year too. But it's crazy how it's gone to one race and it's a playoff race and it's the beginning playoff race. So who knows? Hey, who knows? We might actually see a decent race being the next gen car.
Yeah. So we'll see what goes on. I'm still not gonna be a fan of Texas. I'm just gonna say it. But all right. So you want to go ahead and get into picks, or you want to?
Yeah, let's do some picks.
Let's do some picks. All right. So who you got?
I'm actually gonna go out on a limb. And I'm gonna say Brad Keselowski is gonna be our Bristol winner.
I mean, it's not that big of a limb. He's that car last year to this year. RFK is the most improved. As a
I saw a stat that said Brad going into the playoffs last year because didn't make the playoffs, but when the playoffs started, he was 20 something in points, like 28th or 29th. Terrible.
Yep.
And here he is 5th in points. That's an amazing turnaround for that team.
Yeah, that team has done some amazing things this year. So picking Brad actually isn't that bad of a choice. Plus Ford, we've talked about short tracks. They do good there. So I think that's a pretty good choice. I'm going to go with Logano. I think he's going to start hopefully heating up for the playoffs. I mean, he didn't do terrible there at the very end of Kansas. I think he's starting to get some momentum going, and I think this is what's going to launch him up into the rest of the playoffs, because we always know that Logano, he might not make a lot of noise, but somehow he stays in the playoffs till the very end.
Yeah. I also, somebody who's outside the playoffs, I would even see Eric Jones maybe being ski this weekend. He was
finished second before. I don't think he's won before, but I think
he was fast again at Darlington, which isn't much of a surprise. But Jesus, he was second. He was fighting for the win right there at the end this last week. And granted, there was some pit strategy involved, but still,
yeah,
you've got to be, you've got to have speed and be in, top 10, top 15 to be able to, pull a call like that and jump all those guys.
Yeah, and something's going on with Legacy. I mean, they as a team,
they have found something.
Because they were talking, I know they talked about that on Actions Detrimental about how, Carson's looking so much better than Noah was in that car. Those cars are running completely different than what they were running when Noah was still in that car.
They have found something for sure.
Yeah, they're doing something. They found something. They're cheating somewhere. I don't know what it is, but that car is not the same as what Noah was
being creative somewhere.
Yeah, being very creative. So I don't know what's going to happen with Eric and them, but hey, I mean, I'm down for it. I kind of hate Legacy as a team now because they got rid of Noah, but I'll deal with that myself.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a fan of Legacy at this time. I thought that was a pretty shitty move, but
I think we should give Jimmy Johnson a T.
But Eric, I'm still a fan of Eric. So anytime Eric has a good run and can win, and next year I'm excited for him. I really hope he can. I think this is his. This coming year is going to be his best opportunity in a long time.
Yeah, for sure. And my best thing for next year, and I can already tell that David Pittman is not in here right now because I would have seen one of his crazy comments by now. But Ty Dillon is pretty much officially out of the 77, which means that he does not have a ride for next year. So super excited about that. Obviously, if you haven't heard, the pretty solid rumor out there is that Carson's going to the 77. Apparently that deal is all but done from what I'm hearing out there.
I don't think that's a bad move for Carson. No. As long as Spire can continue to put the resources into both of their cars. It'd be hilarious if Carson gets into 77 and outruns Corey.
I mean,
and the way Carson ran at Gateway, filling in for Corey when Corey was in the 9.
Yeah.
Before that mechanical trouble, I think he could. I think it's not a terrible move. No. There's also some there's also some other silly season news that I'm a little intrigued by.
Trackhouse?
No, not Trackhouse, but Colleague. So we already know Justin Haley is out.
Yep.
But Allmendinger hasn't been renewed either.
Nope.
So there could be 2 Colleague cars open.
They were talking about that, yeah, the 16 being open, the 31 being open, and then the 10 being open because apparently, from what the spotters are saying, he's pretty much setting towards the retirement. So I mean, there
AJ?
could be. Yeah, so
AJ?
no, Ariola.
Almirola.
Yeah, Ariola. I mean, we already knew AJ said that he didn't want to be in the Cup car to begin with originally, and he did it this year. And I think it was a one and done. He wants to go back to Xfinity. The fact that he went and ruined his chances for the Cup side by racing in Xfinity that one time, that kind of told me everything I needed to know. He needs to get out of that car regardless.
Yeah. I'm just I don't know where you're gonna go for, driver. If you're gonna have 2 empty seats, your 2 cars are gonna be empty. Do you bring Chandler Smith in?
You can bring Chandler. Zane was talking with Trackhouse, but I could see you bringing Chandler in. Yeah, yes, they could bring Chandler in for sure. I mean, obviously Noah's going to need a ride. I really think he's going to go down to Xfinity. I'd like to see him in. I don't know if they would make the move for Brandon Jones to move to the 8 car so Noah could have the 9 back, or if Noah would just go in the 8 car. But I would love to see that. But who knows? We'll see. There's a lot to go.
Yeah, this silly season is about to get crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, well, that's what I got.
That's everything I got. A little short and sweet episode this week. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Really appreciate it. Just make sure y'all tune in. We do this every Monday. Last Monday was a bit of a bear, but we're going to continue to try to do this pretty repetitively. I know we haven't been doing a lot on TikTok, Instagram, all the other stuff, but we're trying to get back into the swing of things. Definitely not. Go Dogs, UGA all the way. 3-peat, baby. We're going to make it. End it there. Let's go.
Roll Tide.